Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Melissa Chartrand. Well, Halloween is fast approaching. It arrives this Sunday, so we thought it only fitting to sit with Barnstable High School Dramas Club Director John Sullivan to chat with him about the 30th annual haunted house right here on the site of the haunted house. It was 30 years ago that goblins, ghosts, ghouls made their premiere debut for the first annual haunted house, which was initially started as a fundraiser to raise monies for the elaborate, fabulous productions that the drama club puts on year after year. I had an opportunity to sit down with John Sullivan and chat with him about the beginnings of the haunted house, as well as how it's evolved over the years, although it still seems pretty easy to scare everyone. I'm here with John Sullivan today, art teacher and drama coach extraordinaire. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for your time today, John.
Oh, no problem at all.
John continues to dazzle us with his elaborate productions, and today is no exception, as we're here to talk about the largest, scariest,
yes,
and most elaborate of them all, the haunted house.
Yes. Well, the great thing about the haunted house is that we tell people, we actually put a warning in the front of the haunted house, and it says, warning, this contains smoke, strobe lights, squirt guns, and teenagers. So we probably have, maybe over 100 kids every night in there, all in costume, hiding in corners, jumping out ready to scare people, and so it's actually a different show every night because things change. Kids find out how to scare people a little bit better. They find, oh, I could hide over there instead of hiding over here because people don't see me, and it's in a constant state of flux because of that. So you may come in on, like, say, tomorrow night, and then come in 2 nights later, and all of a sudden, it's different. And we move people around to suit their talents. Some people scream very well. Some people just stare at you and scare you. So there's all these different things that we try to use to our advantage.
I think you said that you haven't done your job if people don't leave crying.
Oh yeah, the motto of the haunted house we have printed on T-shirts. It says, if the kids don't leave crying, we're not doing our job.
So let's go back a little bit, John. Tell me how this all began.
All right, back in the late 70s, in 78 or so, I had a friend who I met through, I was at Mass College of Art with, we were both in the illustration department, and he was Dracula at the haunted house in Situate. And he was saying, you wouldn't believe the money that these people are making because of this, and you wouldn't believe that, what the funds they're raising for charities and this, that, and everything. And he started to explain it to me, and I started to get interested because Halloween was always my favorite holiday. And so the more I thought about it, I turned to Jim Roberti, who was then the drama coach, and I said, we're always in debt. I said, how about doing something to raise a little money? And he said, like what? And I said, well, a haunted house. He said, go for it. So I spent one night talking to Jim Fitzpatrick, was his name, and I sat down, and he talked about all the stuff that they had in the house. And so I started writing all this down. And then the first problem we had was trying to find a place for it. And because the stage was being used for a musical, they were working on Pirates of Penzance at the time. And so I was looking for abandoned buildings, I was looking for old houses and everything like that, and I drove Joe DeLuce, who was the building inspector of the town, completely crazy. I was calling him every day going, oh, what about this, what about that? He's going, there's no bathrooms here, there's no parking, enough parking, there's this, that. So he kept finding things wrong with all the places I was looking for. And finally, Mr. Gick, who was the assistant superintendent at the time, suggested the 6th grade building, which is now the Pope John School.
Right.
And I went down there and we figured out how it could work out. And the funny thing is that we figured out how to build it, but we also had to figure out how to take it down because they had to do school every day down there. But it had handicapped access, it had all this kind of stuff for it. And so we did it in the school, and it was a giant success. And then every year after that, we tried to do different locations. We had it at the Cape Cod Mall, we had it at the West End Marketplace, we had it down at Sheridan, which was Dunphy's at the time. So we bounced it around. We've had it in the night auditorium, now it's home, it's the PAC. And the problem with haunted houses as they've grown is that fire department regulations are becoming more and more restrictive. So there's actually a giant thick book on what you can do and what you can't do in a haunted house, and our Performing Arts Center is one of the few places that we can actually put a haunted house in, because of, you have to be, I think it's like 25 feet from an exit at all times. It has to, good sized bathrooms. They have to be this. So there's all this kind of stuff, water sprinkler overhead. So our PAC fits the bill. So a lot of people who used to have haunted houses, like in storefronts and things like that, really can't have them anymore. So we became, the place to have it. And as we did that, it became bigger and bigger, because we've expanded, because now the Performing Arts Center is much bigger than the Night Hall.
Right.
So it's a longer trail, it's a longer scare fest, as you would call it, through it. And so we've molded with the times, and so that's what we call it, the largest, most elaborate, because it really is. We've saved props. As a matter of fact, I have a mask that will be appearing in this haunted house. That was the first mask I bought for the very first haunted house.
Wow.
So we're still getting money. We're still using it. It was money well spent.
So anything extraordinary, any surprise you can share with us?
Right now, I can tell you we're making probably the largest maze that we've ever made before. I mean, C.J. Curry designed this great maze, and we've had some really interesting mazes that you get through, and they're always in the dark, and they're always with smoke, and they're always with strobe lights, and they're great. But this one frustrates me, when I'm trying to get from point A to point B, and I come through a door, and all of a sudden I realize I'm in the maze. I'm going like, oh, because it takes me a little while to get out of it, And that's really good. And the thing about doing with mythology, so with ogres and trolls and our fairies are sort of like meat-eating fairies. They're not
Tinkerbell.
Giant mouths with big sets of pointed teeth and stuff. So I mean, it's not. People go like, oh, you have fairies? Yeah, come on and see them. They got long pointed fingers and things like that. So it's that kind of thing that, with the mythology aspect of it, it's always fun for me. I always think that's fun.
Are you always sketching these images so they come to you like out on a cocktail napkin?
Oh, constantly. I'm at a restaurant, I turn the placemat open, I'm drawing scenery, I'm drawing pictures.
That, yeah.
Oh no, I think I must have drawn the Horn King, about 9 different restaurants before I finally start sculpting.
So this is great. So let's tell everyone, how much is it to...
Okay, it's $10 at the door.
At the door, and it benefits the drama club.
Yes, and that's what pays for example, when we did Beauty and the Beast last year, the rights were $10,000. And we're open from 6 o'clock until closing, and that means we always have a line. And so when the line goes down and the last person kind of goes through, that's when we close. There's no arbitrary time. Usually on a Sunday it's a little earlier. Sometimes on a Thursday we may close around 8 o'clock. On a Saturday night we may stay open to 11.
Okay.
Depending, as long as the people keep coming in, we stay open.
Well, thanks to John Sullivan for chatting with us. After 31 years in the business, as they say, he's going to be retiring at the end of the school year. Quite proud of such an epic and amazing event. So be sure to come and take a look at what might be the very last haunted house here. We certainly hope not. But it's running through Saturday, 6 p.m. to close. The cost is just $10, with all the proceeds benefiting the Barnstable High School Drama Club. Now let's take a look at this week's meetings. Tonight at 7 p.m., the school committee meets in the town hall hearing room. Also at 7 p.m., the Waterways Committee meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room. Wednesday, October 27th at 7 p.m., Zoning Board of Appeals meets in the town hall hearing room. At 7 p.m., Old Kings Highway meets at the West Barnstable Community Room on Route 149 in Marston's Mills. Thanks for joining us for Barnstable Today. I'm Melissa Chartrand.